All right, everybody, 7:07 right now on this Tuesday evening. We have more in the way of severe weather, so we're going to bring that up to you right now. First off, though, we'll give you the latest warnings that we do have. We actually had about 8 minutes or so of quiet time before we have a new warning that has now popped in, and it's for Iroquois County. First off, though, taking a look at our storm tracker Doppler in the loop, we have tremendous amounts of lightning with these storms, but the warning that we have is actually thanks to a new line of storms that has now begun to form to the north. As we kind of zoom on out, the storms that we have had, all of our warnings on, and we've got tremendous damage from the Gibson City area down to, or actually from the Colfax area, going through Gibson City to Rantoul from potentially a downburst with some of these stronger storms. We'll talk about that here in just a second, but currently those storms no longer have any warnings with them. Strong winds for sure with it, a lot of heavy rain, a lot of lightning with it, but the warning itself that we are going to be talking about right now will be for Iroquois County, and we will go to that one right now. You'll see that this warning, and unfortunately we're still having a problem with our graphic system to where the warning doesn't pop up, but if you can tell here, you can tell that we have this. Again, it's a severe thunderstorm warning, but it's a bit more of a kind of orangey color compared to the more yellow color that we have for it. That means there's actually a tornado possible within this. As we kind of look at this, you can see with our reflectivity, you got some notches here and there, which means that we might have a little bit of an inflow notch beginning to form with some of these. We've got our velocity that we're also going to look to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it onto Chicago's radar here. I'll have a lot of preset settings here. And so what we have now, yep, there we go. Right by the kind of by the Ashcombe area there, we've got potentially a little bit of some rotation there. So we are looking at that to be a potential for some rotation. But the main thing will be the strong winds that are out of it again. 60-mile-per-hour winds are possible, up to an inch in diameter hail. And this is moving off to our southeast at about 35 miles an hour. What we are going to do is we're going to keep it on velocity first. And we're going to go back in time here. And what you're going to see is that we have that storm comes on out of the area. But then we'll go back in time to our other storms that we have had and have seen. And so I'm going to zoom out, get more to the Colfax area, Gibson City, Rantoul, kind of center that there. And as we go through time, you'll notice that we've had some very strong winds kind of pick up there, kind of right by the Colfax area. And then here, right by Gibson City, you've got all this red that shows up there. And it's a different direction. It's going away from the radar in Chicago compared to the rest of the greens, which would be going towards it. And what that means is that we have potentially a downburst that has occurred to where your winds essentially, the air just essentially falls out of the storm. And so when that happens, you have a tremendous force that's coming down on the ground. When obviously it hits the ground, the wind can't go anywhere and it just pushes out. So we have had some strong winds that have been seen in Gibson City, actually from the Colfax area to Gibson City and to Rantoul especially. And then that has then continued on into portions of Champaign County, and then it kind of fizzled out a little bit more. What's up, Jacob? Oh, sure. So Jacob is on his way. He is going to go up to Gibson City, unfortunately, again, for some damage. Unlike last time where it was for some flooding, we do have some of those damage pictures there. Jacob, you want to go right now with your pictures? Or are you going to leave? You're okay.
Yeah, I've just been getting some stuff kind of taken care of behind the scenes, and we're getting situated into what's going on. I wanted to talk a little bit about that warning real quick, Jack, and what I'm seeing also, and then I'll show you those pictures here.
All right.
And so this is the latest here, if you can flip that over. We've been watching, of course, that one storm near Gibson City, and we're back here now looking at it. So there's that southern line, but that warning is for the northern line here. And you pointed it out, Jack. There's that little inflow notch here right south of the 5245 interchange east of Ashcombe. Kind of curves around a little bit, and embedded in that, if you train your eyes right in here, that's about where that velocity is, but it looks like it's come down a bit here. There's that tornado possible tag, mainly a wind threat, and we may be seeing more of that straight line wind threat continue, much like what we had earlier in Gibson City down towards Watseka. So a heads up for Watseka, I think, in that general direction. There could be some real gusty winds heading your way. Continuing to watch things here. Some other reports coming in while we're switching. There's been power lines down between Gifford and Rantoul, and that's one report that's come out. And I'll show you some of these photos and videos that have come across the area. This is that storm cloud itself. Looking ahead here as it approached northern Champaign County. Here's a picture showing some of this tree damage. You can see this tree just down. This is from Gibson City. There's that tree into the fence there. Another chunk of the tree broken off over here. more damage. And the tree was split right down the middle there, and half of it leaned in, damaged a lot of those power poles and a lot of wires down. I did speak to the mayor. He said there are dozens of power lines down in Gibson City. There's some very minor damage to the hospital roof, but that's all that structure is received. The dugout just down the street from that has some significant damage. It was destroyed essentially. There's a couple of homes that have taken trees as well here. You know, these are whole trees that have been uprooted and blown over. And I'll show you some video here in a second. First off, this is the crews. They got right out and started cleaning up here in Gibson City. You just look down the street. So this was a real strong storm. The worst part of the damage is on the north side of town, from about 12th Street north up towards the hospital in the middle school there. You know, a car here has a limb. It took a limb on it right there, and it blew out the back window from that. This picture, I think, came from Champaign County. You can see that lightning strike that was there. We've gotten lots of great photos from around the region. Another photo from Gibson City. There used to be an overhang and a porch there. That tree destroyed that. Here's another tree. You can see the power lines are all snarled up in that. And that comes from Gibson City. This also comes from Gibson City. Interestingly enough, when I spoke to the mayor, to Dad, my dad that is, he said that not only did the wind blow over the trees, but it dragged them down the street a ways. So you know, you usually see these limbs in the middle of the street as opposed to at the base there. Another sign of some very strong winds. That's the hospital in the distance. Right here is actually our weather camera that looks over towards the school. And so we will show you that probably later on here, but this is a closer up view of that dugout and the damage done to it. This is the concession stand, lost part of its roof. And another view of the dugout. There's a hospital. Our camera actually caught that in the time lapse, so we'll get that posted to the website. Jack, it's been a lot of damage in Gibson City from all of this wind here. Fire crews have been out. They've been all over with those down power lines and keeping an eye on it. They got about 1.5 inches of water also during the storm. Minor flooding, nothing nearly like what's happened a couple of weeks ago. And really this was more of a wind event here. This is North Park. There's some tree branches that are down into the pavilion. And so they're getting out there and cleaning up. But I've just been getting tons of photos from the area. All right, this is the wind itself. Look at how strong this wind was, Jack. Do you see that there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's got to be a downburst.
Very much downburst winds. I know this house, and I know who lives there. It's Susan Schultz's house. She's looking out the front door. So looking out the front doors to the south, and you can see the wind is blowing from right to left. It was a moving south and east from this downburst signature, very strong in town. I'll play it one more time before I send it back to you, Jack, and then head out on the road. You can see, though, that strong wind. We'll have the video and the audio, I believe, tonight at 10, and I've got it on my Facebook page now. It sounds very eerie and very ominous, Jack. The wind is over, it looks like, more than likely for Gibson City. We pretty much think that's a safe bet. At this point, Jack, though, we're watching Iroquois County. Tell us a little bit more about what you're seeing up there.
Yep, so I'm going to switch it back over here 1 second. Okay, you are free to go. Drive safe. And because we still have some storms out there that we are watching. You're going to see here, again, we're going to look at our velocity currently. And kind of look back here a little bit at some time over the past, like about half hour or so. Again, right there, kind of zooming in. I'll zoom in here. Kind of right by the Ashcombe area where we are looking at some rotation on that. You've got that really being picked up right there. And then it's not so good looking anymore. So we're still watching that. There's still definitely some strong winds with that, but that's the reason why this severe thunderstorm warning, which does go until 8 o'clock, and that's why it does have our tornado possible tag on this storm. That's our only warned storm right now, which is nice to see. I'm going to turn on the reflectivity or the velocity from Lincoln, and you'll see that we still have some strong gusty winds here with our storms, but as of right now, everything's fallen below severe criteria, which is going to be good. I'm going to go to our sky cam right now, and here's our sky cam. This is our view from Champaign as everything's kind of clearing out. Give me 1 second here, and you're going to see our view right now live from Gibson City. First thing you'll notice, number one, is that it's now tilted. So it is now knocked off center and is now tilted because of how strong the winds were. Now it's going to be hard to see. I posted a picture on our social media, and we have, as Jacob said, the drone video that we have by Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lighty. We also have more viewer pictures too, more of the close-ups there, but here's the dugout, and it's actually damaged. The wind is blown off the roof, and parts of the bricks, the cinder blocks, are down. The concession stand, which is right here, you can't see it based on this side, but on the other side of it, it's actually missing part of its roof. So it's obviously very hard to see right now on this live view on this TV, but if you check out Facebook itself once we're done with this, you'll be able to kind of see it and kind of pinch it, and you can open it. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to show the time lapse because the time lapse is pretty interesting. And what I will do then is I'm going to try to record it once this is done and then post it to social media too because it's pretty fascinating to see here. So here's our Gibson City time lapse. Again, it goes from earlier on in the day. It was a nice day. It was a very warm, very sunny day. And then as we go into the evening, just watch. So see how fast it was. And you've got damage. So you can kind of see how this part of the hospital, it's about up about a foot or so. That gets blown off. Our camera will then shift off screen or off kilter and become tilted. And you've got all this damage right here. Now, obviously, the parts that we want to see are only within a few frames. So I'm going to have to edit it and slow it way down for you. But we are going to try to post this here on our Facebook and then kind of really shorten it to what you're actually going to want to see because it's pretty fascinating there. So there are a dozen power lines that are down in the Gibson City area right now. We've got no power in Rantoul. We've had some flooding in areas like Rantoul going underneath the train bridge. You've got some flooding there. Got about some minor flooding in Gibson City too. So busy day here across the viewing area. I'm now going to go back to our radar and just kind of recap on a few things. First things first though, is that we still do have our severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 9 o'clock. And in fact, what's actually happened is we've actually added Douglas and Edgar County into the watch. Still goes until 9 o'clock right now. But you'll notice because we've had that second batch of storms pop up in the northern part of our viewing area, that's why we still have our watch, even though the rest of the Chicago counties have been taken out of it. We will now, let's go to our radar once again and just kind of reflect on everything here. So again, just because, let's go to our different sky cams down to our south because it's going to look good here. So give me 1 second. I really appreciate everybody watching on Facebook right now. We have just the one warning. Let's go to Mattoon. Let's see what that one looks like. It'll take a second here. Not very apparent right now. Let's go to Charleston. Let's go to Charleston. Here we go. Come on up. So not very impressive right now. The reason being is that this is looking more to the west, and the storms that are coming in will be coming in from the north. So it's not aimed the right direction. I can't turn these cameras, unfortunately. But what we do have, we might even be able to see on Danville's camera here, some of the, so it looks cool. The storms that would be coming in, should they make it to Danville, will be coming in from the right side of your screen. And let me go to Pontiac. That's aiming in the wrong direction. You got a very nice sunset there. So we don't have anything that would be close enough to where we'd want to see those storms in Iroquois County, unfortunately. I have nothing that can aim that direction. But even still, Storm Tracker Doppler remains very active. Even though we only have one warning out there for Iroquois County, the amount of rain that we have here in the lightning strikes is tremendous there. So let's pause this, turn off our lightning, we'll turn off our satellite, and really kind of get in here. We do have some high reflectivity values, so we are going to be looking at some strong winds with these. We also do have the potential for some minor flooding too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at our precipitation here. So I'm going to turn off our radar and turn on my precipitation. It's going to load up here for a second. And when it does, we're going to see some pretty high rainfall rates. So here we go with, again, we're going to be raining now across the Champaign County area. It's just getting down towards the Tuscola-Arcola area, so it's not picked up too much on the rain just yet. But some of these green spots, you'll see when we put a query on them, you'll see that it's coming in at radar estimated amounts over 2 inches of rain. So easily an inch to 2 inches of rain has fallen within these heavy downpours across portions of Champaign County. We've got, even in the blue areas there, potentially closer to around an inch. So we do have a lot of spots that have seen some heavy rain out of it. Not the training of the rain showers like we had up in Gibson City, but even still, that rain is there. Now, because we've had 2 rounds of showers and storms across Ford County and Iroquois counties, that's why there's even more in the way of some rain up there. So let me turn off the warnings right there and then put a query on that because we do have by the Clifton area more in the way of some heavy rain. So it's coming in at close to 4 inches of radar estimated rainfall amounts. So in the northern portions of Iroquois County, we have seen a lot of heavy rain that has fallen in the area up there. Now, what's actually pretty nice is that as we take a look at our future track, once these storms are out of our area tonight, they are going to be done for about a week. It's going to be a very quiet week. So our future track, okay right now, what you can tell is that it's picking up on that second northern spot of storms. It's in the wrong spot, but it's doing a good job. This should be a little bit farther to the south, but even still, it's doing a relatively good job of showing that our storms are moving off to our south, and that by the time we get to around midnight or so, most of these showers and storms are broken apart. They're much, much weaker, and they're going to be closer to I-70 at that point. We do anticipate there being a gradual weakening trend. We were kind of saying about 7 o'clock that things would be a bit weaker. We still obviously have that warning that continues, but it's only one warning, and the rest of our line has now weakened below severe criteria, so we're going to keep watching that. The rest of our forecast is in fact fairly dry. If you were watching during the newscast, I didn't have a lot of time to show any other graphics, but it's a very, very quiet forecast. I'll just quickly do this here for you right now, and you'll see with our future track that once this cold front exits the area this evening, it's totally dry. In fact, we're going to be dry until about Tuesday, where there'll be a chance for a few isolated showers and storms. It's going to be very warm as our temperatures get back up into the upper 80s and low 90s. So after a nice couple days stretch where we're going to be very comfortable here in the upper 70s and low 80s, we are going to be getting into the middle and upper 80s by the weekend, getting back towards 90 by the time we get towards early next week. So summer's not done, but it will be a nice taste of fall for tomorrow and for Thursday and Friday, thanks to some cooler temperatures and some northwest winds. I did just want to show that here briefly for you. So let's go back now to our Storm Tracker Doppler. And as of right now, we don't have any more new additional warnings, but we are just looking at just a tremendous amount of lightning with these storms as these come on down through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on our velocity. And our velocity, I'm going to switch it back up now to where it was up in the Chicago radar. And I'll turn that on. And so what you're going to see here is that still by the Onarga area, we've got some of those, and by the Gilman area, we still do have some brighter colors there coming away from the Chicago radar, so that'd be coming out of the storm down to our south, coming in right there. So as we kind of go back in time a little bit, you're going to notice it definitely pulsed up by the Ashcombe area, that area of higher velocity, kind of fizzled out, it's picked back up again by the Gilman area, heading towards the, just off to the west of the Crescent City area. So that's where some of our strongest winds are going to be currently. It still does have the tornado possible tag with it, which is why this outline of our polygon is a bit more of an orange color. So it does have the potential there for a brief spin-up tornado, but it's not a tornado warning. It's still a severe thunderstorm warning with winds that could be gusting to around 60 miles an hour, could still have quarter-sized hail with it, and obviously still have a lot of heavy rain too. Here's our regular velocity. And again, you've got just heavy, heavy rain falling within this area, which already has seen some heavy rain. And then back off to our west, we do have some more rain showers that are kind of extending back off to the west towards Bloomington. And so we're kind of thinking here that these storms, which would now be by the Tuscola, Villa Grove area, that this actually might not be the cold front, but that this might actually be the cold front. Because as we take a look at our winds, they need to start to shift directions here. And what you're going to see is that current wind gusts. There we go. Aha. So currently no wind gusts right now. I don't really believe that, but here we go with our, nope. Where's our current winds? There we go. So you can see the difference there in our wind barbs. That's coming on through. In fact, I'm going to delete this front because that's not correct where that's at. So right now with our winds, you got still coming in out of the southwest, and then kind of right by the Champaign County area is where things begin to change, and you've got it more coming in out of the northwest to the north of there. So there's our cold front. It is starting to come on through, and so we're going to be watching that, because once that comes on through, then that should mark an end to our storms. So really what we have is, I'll load up here, this is our cold front right here. That's our cold front coming through. This line down below, we're somehow able to get going ahead of it, but this is our cold front coming through right now. So once this passes through, that second line, that is when we expect there to be some drier, more quiet conditions. Let's look at our temperatures and see what those are at right now, because those also might tell us a little bit something currently. So, not necessarily right now, because you've got more spots that are rain-cooled compared to spots that have been dry. So this doesn't really tell us anything just yet. Pontiac's number has not fallen down just yet from the cold front, so we will keep an eye on that. Just want to check that for you. In the meantime, though, we will go back to our storms. We have just heavy, heavy rain now across the Tuscola area, the Atwood area, Camargo, Villa Grove, Pasodum, and as we zoom on in, we do have by the Hayes area and the Ficklin area some very, very heavy rain that's being associated with these storms. Let me take a look at some of the hail products here, because there could be some hail within these storms. Yeah, nothing too impressive right now with it, but it is still there. We'll zoom out and we'll go back up to the north and also across Iroquois County where the warning is. Not much there in the way of a hail core either. So it's pretty small currently, but we will keep an eye on that as we always do. Just getting some extra reports here. We've got obviously team coverage you've seen during the full weathers. It's been myself, Kevin, and Jacob in there. So there's some minor roof damage that Kevin's sending me from Gibson City. Okay, just checking here. Yeah, so right now it's currently just me in the studio because of the widespread wind damage that we've seen in Rantoul and in Gibson City. We've got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lighty and Meteorologist Jacob Dickey. They're going to be doing some reporting and some on-scene looks for our 9 and our 10 o'clock newscast. So it's just me in here currently, and we'll be keeping you up to date. I'm going to take this warning all the way to the end here, and in case we get any more warnings. So again, just looking at just a tremendous amount of lightning with these, very heavy rain. And again, this is all moving off to our southeast. Currently no warnings with our main line of storms, but you've got a ton of lightning within that. You've got some minor hail, but the main thing that we've been looking at has been our velocity. Our winds have been relatively strong as they head towards the Highway 36 area there. You've got this is our Lincoln radar, so the winds are blowing away from it, and you've got some of those brighter colors there showing that we've got some strong winds. Currently not strong enough to show any warnings for it, but still want to make sure that you're aware. You might have some patio furniture that does blow around with those gusty winds, but it's really has always been more of our northern spots that have seen more of those issues there with our wind. Again, this is currently in the Watseka area, so Crescent City, Gilman, you're looking at some strong winds right there. What we have right now is you can kind of see here, here's our little pocket of higher velocity, and it's now pushing down towards the Crescent City area there. So you've even got, kind of looking at it here, a little bit of some minor rotation that is being picked up too within this. So this will be definitely a spot to watch as we go through the next 29 minutes, because this one does go until 8 o'clock, I believe. Yep, until 8 o'clock. So, like I said, it also does have that tornado possible tag with it too. This is moving out to the east about 35 miles an hour. So if you're within the warning spots, you know, Milford is technically just out of it, but the Woodland area, Watseka, Sheldon, Crescent City, we are looking at this kind of area here to be our main area of concern for some of those stronger winds, if that's where that pocket of velocity continues to move on through. As we kind of loop that, you see that it comes on in, and then it's going more to the southeast and turns a bit more to going more to our south, now more to our southeast. They just trimmed that county, so we still do have Iroquois County in there, but they've now trimmed a bit of the warning off there. So Ashcombe now currently in the clear. Again, the reason why we've been dealing with a lot of damage today has been thanks to what we think was a downburst. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, try to get the Colfax area to pop up. Here's Colfax, Gibson City, Rantoul on our view here. And we're going to go through our velocity and kind of show you that we believe that there was a downburst that did occur over a span of multiple miles between these three cities. In fact, as you can see right now, about 5:26 earlier this evening, some of the darker reds are starting to show up there, signifying some of the winds going in a bit of a different direction than what the rest of the winds are doing. As we go to the Gibson City area, that really does begin to brighten up and also becomes a lot bigger too. So we have probably seen at this point really the winds accelerating down out of the cloud, hitting the ground, being pushed out, and really rapidly accelerating those winds, creating all this damage that we have shown, and we're going to continue to show you during the 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock newscasts. Here as it goes towards the Rantoul area right around 6 o'clock, that was where our Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lighty was when he was in the storm tracker. He was live in Rantoul. They had no power there. And then this kept on going and went through the Flatville area, south of Penfield, and then it fizzled out. It's also coming in more into the Lincoln radar site, so it's a little farther away from Chicago where it once was. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. But in the meantime, right now, we'll go back up to our velocity in Iroquois County, where we still do have our warning that does continue until 8 o'clock, 60-mile-per-hour winds, 1-inch in diameter hail, but there's a potential there for some rotation, which is why it's that orange color, tornado possible tag. I've got meteorologist Dickey right here. What's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to get a little info out. So we talked to we had mentioned, we saw the camera was bent a little bit at the roof of the hospital.
Yep.
We talked to the hospital CEO, Rob Schmidt. He said that there is no structural damage to the hospital. They had a little bit of the sheath or the metal wrapping in the roof there you can see blown down. And then, of course, our camera is bent just a little bit.
Yep.
But he mentioned also that they've lost a fence and some trees, but the hospital itself has no structural damage.
Okay.
There were some doors that were damaged to the ER, but they're getting those put back on the rails. Let a little bit of rain in, but nothing substantial. All services are normal at the hospital. All patient care is still happening. And so far, we've talked to city officials. They say there's no injuries.
Good.
Into the area. So that's good news here, but it's the north side of town. Lots of trees down, lots of power lines down. Things are slowly getting cleaned up. And then also tonight, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lighty will be live at 9 and 10, and I'll be heading up there to meet with him. So I just wanted to let you know that, Jack. So that's the latest from Gibson City. That's the last from me. I'm hitting the road.
Okay, you're going up there now, so drive safe. And are you going to be live, or is this going to be support for Kevin when he's there?
TBD.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's again, live for you folks. It's happening right now. We've got a thing from the National Weather Service just came through. Keep an eye on the storm nearing Watseka and the chimney of Ford County, which may clip parts of Champaign, Vermilion counties soon. There is a area there that could have an uptick in some of our reflectivity, which means that storm could get a little bit stronger. In fact, you can see it from Gibson City. Got the building clouds off in the distance there.
Sorry.
But you're good? You're good?
That's my hand.
Again, live TV, folks, live TV. All right, drive safe, and we will see you later tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I thought you were saying everyone on TV.
Oh, no. I'm talking to you, sir. I'm talking to you.
Got it.
Okay, so in fact, here we go with the latest now from our storm tracker Doppler. The line of storms is kind of extending a bit more. As we just loop it here, it kind of gives you a better idea. Let me turn off the lightning, because it's a lot of it. So what we can see here, number one, is that our line of storms, which has created the most issues, the most warnings, still remains unwarned, but that line is extended farther off to our west. And that was to be expected. Our future track did a good job picking up on, as we go later on into the evening, that line of storms is going to extend farther off to the west, which is what it's now doing, but it's probably going to weaken a little bit more. So as of right now, we still remain below severe criteria where there's no warning. We still have one warning in Iroquois County, but that's also stretching out too. And in fact, now let's zoom in a little bit more on that spot. And that spot's kind of closing in now too. So there's a little bit of a stronger line developing. And what's interesting is that this is the cold front. This second line is the cold front. That southern line, this is actually not the cold front. This is the cold front. So these storms were able to really fire up and develop and hold together because it was so warm, it was relatively humid, and we had all that wind too. So it really did create some good environments for these storms to get going, to become severe. There was enough shear in the atmosphere to really get those winds going too. So there was a pretty good setup that we had today for some of these storms. But the cold front itself, which typically a cold front is what will be the initial starting point for a lot of storms because it creates an environment where there's upward motion. As the cold front cuts underneath the warmer air, it pushes it up, and that's rising motion that we do need to have some storms to develop. Just interesting, though, that the cold front itself is not necessarily driving as much of the storm development as what it did earlier on with just the line of storms that developed. So pretty interesting there, but the fact is the cold front's coming through a little bit later on in the evening. The fact that we're in September right now means that the sun goes down obviously a lot earlier than what it did in June and July. So because of that, we do have our sun, our fuel, run out a little bit earlier, so we need that front to get going. But I don't know if we're going to see much more in the way of warnings here with this line. In fact, as you can tell, we have more of it now across Ford County, back into Livingston County, back into McLean County, almost to Bloomington, and then it gets more spotty outside of our viewing area. But Gibson City just had those storms come on through with the damage. They're likely going to have another round of storms come on through. And as we turn the lightning back on, you can tell that we do have a couple lightning strikes right there. So it is a little bit taller. It is kind of strengthening a bit more. That, though, in Watseka, we are still watching for. And then clearly down, way down in the southern portions of Piatt County, kind of right there along 36 there, from Booty all the way to essentially Chrisman, is that leading edge there of the heavy rain sinking down to the south. We've got a lot of lightning with it. The winds are strong, but currently no warnings with it. But just because there's no warnings with it, this storm has had a history of producing some very damaging winds across Colfax to Gibson City to Rantoul. So because of that, there could still be some strong embedded wind gusts within there, maybe around 40 to 50 miles an hour. Can't be ruled out there. We're talking about the heavy winds or heavy rains. So we are still kind of watching things here closely. Let's take a look at our watches. We have the Severe Thunderstorm Watch, which Douglas and Edgar counties have actually been added into since we've started here, and those will continue on until 9 o'clock tonight. Just checking a few things here. Go back up to all chats. Okay, just checking a few things. Really appreciate everybody watching. And obviously a busy day today with these storms coming on through. There's always the potential that we're going to see some strong storms out of this. But we'll go back to Gibson City. You've got a front end loader going down the street there, heading towards the damage zone. In fact, you've got the billowing clouds off to the west there too, so that would be that next line of storms coming down into the area. It's nowhere near as intense or as strong, which is good, but unfortunately, as people are cleaning up this evening over the past about 2 hours or so, there may be a little bit of a slowdown because of more rain coming on through. But again, the dugout has been damaged, the roof has been blown off, a lot of the cinder blocks have been blown over. There's also damage to the concession stand there. The roof right here, you can see is damaged too on the roof of the hospital. So a lot going on in the Gibson City area, unfortunately, over the past couple of weeks. Flooding, now wind damage for Gibson City. Let's go to our hail sizes. Our hail sizes have been not necessarily very impressive anymore. We've got some hail down by the Tuscola area, Atwood, going down to Villa Grove and Camargo. Very light based on our color table. We're talking about the smallest, so maybe about pea size, potentially even smaller than that. And then zooming out and going up to the north, you'll see that we also have some pretty small hail where that warning is kind of in the Narga area going to Crescent City and eventually heading closer to Watseka. Let's take a look at our velocity again. Some pockets of stronger velocity are being seen across Highway 36, and we expect that to be slowly becoming less and less of an issue over the next hour or so. But off to our north, we still do have some of those strong winds that are there. Let me turn on Chicago's. And again, still there. A little bit of some rotation potentially being picked up right there too. That's why they're still holding on to that severe thunderstorm warning with that tornado possible tag for that area. So still keeping out there in the Watseka area. Onarga is still very close by to that too. We'll zoom in, get a few more spots. Crescent City to pop up. Woodworth, though, you'll notice we got some strong winds that are out of the warning area, though, which signifies that this may be weakening a bit more, becoming a little bit kind of blowing itself out. So We're still watching this area, but as of right now, some of the strong wind gusts may actually be outside of that area. But with the last just came in right now, so the National Weather Service continues the severe thunderstorm warning for Iroquois County until 8 o'clock. The thing is, though, is that it's now a yellow county, which means that that tornado possible tag has been taken out of it. So what we'll really be seeing here is that it's probably not being noticed as much in the way of rotation. It's still kind of there, but it really doesn't look to be as good as it did before. So taking a look at that, kind of past a little bit there. There's some very broad rotation, but it's not as good looking as what it was earlier on when the warning was first popped. So checking a few things out here. We'll go to our Storm Prediction Center outlook. Nothing has changed with the most recent update. Still keeps most of the northern part of the viewing area north of Highway 36 in that slight risk area. And it's always been more of a wind threat, so we'll take a look at that wind risk because that still is going to be about the same. On a scale of 1 to 5, it's a 2 for that same region. Tornado risk has been pretty low for a majority of it, but it does get a little bit higher in this area there, which is where we've had some of our tornado warnings north of our viewing area, and then now in Iroquois County with that tornado possible tag there, at least it kind of makes sense that we have that zone of our viewing area to be a slightly higher chance for tornadoes, but it's been very low anyways, as you can tell. On a scale of 1 to 10, we're looking at a 2 to a 3, so still pretty small. We'll take a look at our future track, and again, we've got storms that will continue to move down to the south. As we get to around the 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock hours, our storms become less intense. Our storms begin to fall apart more. Any warnings that we have right now definitely would be done by then, and it'll be a just much more quiet night tonight. In fact, after midnight, we expect pretty much everything to be wrapped up, leaving us with a very nice day for tomorrow. So I've not done much of my forecast because we had the storms earlier on. So this evening we got our storms, but it'll drop down to around 56 for an overnight temperature tonight. And then for tomorrow, sunny skies, temperature of around 78. So it's going to be a beautiful day tomorrow. Breezy winds out of the northwest at around 10 to 20 miles an hour. And I'll show this at 9 and 10, but I got to imagine that there might be some farmers out there that might try to do something tomorrow. So we got our harvest forecast up for tomorrow, and it's going to be a nice day. Temperature's going to be nice and comfortable tomorrow. Starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, we'll be around 57 degrees, and then we'll keep on going up into the upper 70s, we're thinking, by the afternoon hours. The winds increasing out of the northwest at that time to around 10 to 20 miles an hour, so a little bit breezy, but it is out of a northwest direction. It'll be a comfortable direction. It'll keep our dew points down, make it feel nice and comfortable for us. And since it's not very hot, we don't have much in the way of humidity out there just yet. Now, with our future track right now, it's all quiet from here on out. So once these storms are done, we're looking at a very quiet forecast the rest of the week. Gets hot, though, by next week. Temperatures by around Tuesday are expected to be back into that low 90 range with a chance for a few pop-up showers and storms. So it's going to be hot by the time we get to the start of next week. But until that happens, it's going to be nice and comfortable before the weekend gets here. So let's go back now. We've got another 14 minutes left of our warning. And kind of zooming out here, here's our wide view. Could the second line of storms come through Champaign County? Yes, it could. It may run into the fact where it gets a little bit more worked over, but these storms are able to get going, which means that some of the storms over here, back off to the west of the warning, potentially still have enough to at least hold on. I highly doubt they're going to be warned or anything like that, but they'll likely hold on, and so some of you may actually get a second round of storms. Now, as we kind of zoom out way more, let's take, for example, Springfield. They saw just a couple little showers and storms here and there very close by. Taylorville, also seeing a few of them now too. But if nothing forms along the front, that's pretty much going to be about it. So some of you may actually end up being pretty dry for today. It was always kind of be more of the eastern side of our viewing area that was going to see storms compared to the western side. So the forecast has remained pretty true to what we've been calling for the past few days, which is nice. But right now, some of you who do need the rain, probably not going to get some rain out of this. And so speaking of rain, let's take a look at our estimated rainfall amounts from our radar. We'll turn that on, turn the satellite and the warnings on, off. We'll turn off our lightning. And so again, we've got in these kind of teal, kind of seafoam green area colors. Let's go into Champaign County, for example. Coming in, radar estimated amounts over 2 inches. So some decent rain has fallen out of these storms, but the highest amounts are going to be to the north, which are starting to see their second round already. So we'll go up to northern Iroquois County, kind of right by the Clifton area, and you'll see that radar estimated amounts coming in over 3.5 inches of rain. So what that means is easily 3 inches of rain has fallen in the area so far today from the storms that came through earlier on this afternoon and now are coming through right now. So we've got 2 rounds of storms adding up to what could be in some spots 2 to maybe 4 inches of rain. After today is done, our storm should be done. We're going to be looking at a very dry forecast here for this week. So the Iroquois County storm has gradually weakened, and if this trend continues, the warning will be allowed to expire with no downstream issuance. Still some 40-mile-per-hour gusts and heavy rain in this activity, though, and we'll have to watch it closely as still an environment that will support some severe potential. So that is directly from the National Weather Service office, and you can even tell that the highest reflectivity areas that are within Iroquois County are by the Buckley area and the Milford area, which are out of the warning area currently, which means that this storm is beginning to weaken a bit more. So they're going to hold on this warning for the next 11 minutes, but it will be, as of right now, what they're thinking, a bit more unlikely that there will not be a new warning. Can't totally rule that out just yet, but the severe potential is still kind of there, but it's a little bit lower at this point. But Gibson City, you just got done with all that damage. Colfax area, you got that cell that's coming through there too right now. So Gibson City, be on the lookout for more in the way additional rain showers, and then Rantoul also still too. We got more of a kind of a bigger cell there, right there on Highway 45, just off to the east of Sedoris, in the Tolono area right there. Some heavier reflectivity, so some very heavy rain being seen there. Down 57 and 45, you got more in the way of those heavy rain showers. And now the heavy rain is essentially along and kind of north and south of 36 right now, from essentially Chrisman all the way almost to Decatur. So this is a long line of heavy downpours that are being seen. And you've got more in the way of some rain showers across Christian County too, kind of in and around the Taylorville area. Again, thank you for watching here. We've had a couple of pop-ups here, or a couple of pop-ins with our severe coverage on social media. It's been a pretty active day. Right now, the spots that we've seen the most damage in have been from Colfax and especially Gibson City and Rantoul. But I think Gibson City right now might be, unfortunately, our target zone again for more in the way of heavy damage. Essentially, less than 3 weeks after they got just dumped on with training thunderstorms that dropped 10 inches of rain in the span of just a few hours. We now have a lot of damage there too with these strong winds. There's obviously a lot of rain with those storms from a couple weeks ago, but after a few weeks, the soil is able to dry out. So it'll be very interesting to see if all that rain potentially aided in some of these storms getting tipped over. Some of those pictures that we did show in the 5 and 6 o'clock newscasts and on other social media posts have a lot of the trees tipped over at the roots, so it does pull up the grass. So there may be something still there with the very saturated soil that caused some of those trees to fall over when there was some strong winds. But again, we're going to be watching more storms kind of roll through the area there. Nothing severe with those, but in Iroquois County, we still do have that warning, and some of those spots still do have some high reflectivity values. Not necessarily saying that's going to be where the strong winds are, but definitely some heavy rain can be seen out of that. It's going to be a busy night for us here at WCI. We're going to have Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lighty in the Storm Tracker in Gibson City, or at least live there, and Meteorologist Dickey is also going back home to his house in Gibson City, to where there is actually, he's got tree damage in his backyard. So he's going to be live from there too, or at least providing us more in the way of some video that we're going to share back. Right now, just the one warning still for Iroquois County. The storm is moving off to our southeast at around 35 miles an hour, kind of looping it there. And the spot that has the warning on it doesn't look to be very impressive. In fact, it's going to be mainly out of it now. So they're still going to allow it to expire with no downstream issuance. So that's some good news there. So as of right now, we don't have much more in the way of warnings. Again, we've got some strong thunderstorms here. We have some very heavy rains out of this too. And you'll see that it's kind of training right now from west to east. We've kind of seen it more, instead of it being kind of more the angled line coming on through, it's kind of more of an east-west line that's kind of sliding on through. So it's a little bit of a slower descend southward, which means that there's going to be some heavy rainfall that will be picked up in those areas. But as of right now, the heaviest rain still has been in northern Iroquois County because they've seen 2 rounds of heavy showers and storms. Let's go the past 6 hours here. And so again, over the past 6 hours, you can tell that we've had 1 line of storms come on through and a second line come on through portions of Livingston, Ford, and Iroquois counties. And so that line now is almost back to Gibson City. So the cleanup crews will likely have to stop a little bit here. We'll turn our lightning back on, and you'll see that not much in the way of lightning currently with the one in Ford County right now. Most of it is in Iroquois County, and then most of it down along Highway 36 currently. Again, there's a lot of lightning with this. Let's go to our sky cam, and this will be Gibson City right now. It's obviously dark, but you can still tell that the camera is tilted. Let me change it here really fast, and I'm going to have to move some things here. So here's our studio camera. This will be from Champaign. This is looking north. I've now got to turn it to the south, so just give me a second here. Okay, turning south on my side. So this will now be looking south down Neal Street and on our Woods Basement Systems camera. And we'll kind of watch there for there to be any lightning strikes. You should definitely be seeing some of it here still because those storms are not that far down to our south, but they are moving all in that same direction. Storm Prediction Center come out with the new outlook here. And so now we've been downgraded to a marginal risk. So this just came out just a second ago. So we've got a marginal risk now because the storms that are still out there still have yet to kind of move out of the area, which is why we have that there. So we're kind of going down a little bit, which is good. Here's our velocity. And again, kind of right there along 36, kind of north and south of it there. It's a little bit more broken up now at this point. Not looking to be so robust anymore because there's currently no warnings on it. Just checking a few things here. Might have some damage in the Sangamon area with a house and a tree. Here we go with our hail size right now, kind of by the Pasodum area, Tolono, then also by the Bourbon and Hugo areas. These 3 spots, got a little bit of some minor hail associated with some of those bigger hail cores. And then zooming out, going back up into Iroquois County. Buckley, Milford, kind of looking at some of those spots there with some small hail also being picked up there too. So hail really not much of a concern right now. And so, okay, here we go. So Chicago has allowed the severe thunderstorm warning for Iroquois County to expire. So this warning will go away here, which is now technically not in effect. As of right now, they've not popped anything else for it just yet. I'm going to hold off signing off just yet until I know that we're not going to get a new one. As of right now, it would be for wind. Let me go back to Chicago. And it's not very bright in these spots here. So we're not looking at anything too impressive with our velocity anymore. Still some stronger wind gusts by the Wellington area, close to the Milford area, but that's really likely right now maybe 40, 45 miles an hour at the most currently with that one. Check a few more spots here. Yeah. So still some strong winds. up to around 50 miles an hour still are possible with some of these storms, but we really are losing a lot of the intensity right now, which is good. Definitely some very heavy rains coming into the Hoopston area currently. You're going to be just on the Stockton area, Milford. You got a lot of heavy rain there, a lot of lightning. Rankin, you're probably hearing it. Paxton, you're probably hearing it. Gibson City, those rain showers are now pretty much right there again. And then back down to our south, again, got the giant blob of storms really still moving down to the south pretty slowly there. So a lot of heavy rain is being seen in the Tuscola area, Arcola, the Humboldt area, right to the north of there, the Hugo area, Newman, all these spots, Atwood, Hammond, Lovington. We're all looking at some very heavy rainfall amounts in this corridor there. So they're still going with no severe thunderstorm warning. So right now what I'm going to do is this. It'll be 8 o'clock here when I sign off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the loop going here, but I'll turn off my microphone, and I'll keep it going for a little bit more until I get some new information. If no new warnings come up within a few minutes, I'll cut the stream off, and I got to go talk to the producers here to get ready for a 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock newscast, because we obviously have a lot of damage to cover, and it'll be more of a recap then at that point, not necessarily tracking any more storms. So the good news is that we have no more active warnings that's been allowed to expire coming in at 8 o'clock. And even though we do have some very heavy rain that are out there, strong winds are expected, there's a lot of lightning, everything is below severe criteria to where we would have no more warnings currently. Could something pop back up and strengthen a bit more? It's possible, but I think at this point now, a lot of what we're going to see will be below severe criteria, just a lot of rain and a lot of lightning with these storms. So gusts could be around 50 miles an hour, but we need 60 to have it as a severe thunderstorm warning. So 8 o'clock, that even that polygon is now out of Iroquois County. That it's been a few minutes now since they've done anything, so I think we're okay right now for me to sign off, get some stuff ready to go, and we're going to have a full recap during 9 and 10. I'll let this go quietly here for a few more minutes before I cut the stream. And like I said, if something comes back up, I'll hop back on. But expect most of the coverage now to be on our newscasts at 9 and 10 o'clock. Although before I do that, interestingly enough, the Storm Prediction Center has actually continued the severe thunderstorm watch for Ford, Iroquois, Jasper, and Benton counties until 9 o'clock. Livingston County has been taken out. So they're still waiting for the storms to get out of the area before they do anything. And that was much earlier on. Okay. All right, that's it. I'm going to put on a radar loop here, and I will see you guys at 9 and 10. Or unless something pops up before then, I'll hop back on. Thanks for listening. Nice. Okay, good.